Hi, ladies. It is Tuesday, so this is your weekly post. But I knew I was going to be a bit distracted and a bit busy today with in laws coming in town. So, the post that I recently put in our group about your intuition is everything that I knew I wanted to share in today's video, but I wrote it out for you at about midnight last night. So be sure that you are connected with all notifications coming through from our group so that you don't miss that. It's got a picture of a gal in a fall setting from behind with a hat on. So that's essentially the main concept for this week. It's all about trusting your intuition. And that is probably the hardest part about manifesting your dream life, but it's also the most exhilarating. So once you are able to tap into that knowing, that inner voice that at first it's hard to differentiate between your mind, your brain, your logical, practical thoughts, and the inner wisdom of your heart. And the only thing I can tell you of how to differentiate between the two, I now can tell immediately which one I'm talking with just based on the energy frequency that it comes through at. Um, I know that if it's got any sense of heaviness, that it's coming from my brain. If it's got any sense of fear, if it's anxious or you should do this right now, even if it feels like I'm excited, but it's coming from a place of anxious or lacking, like you're going to run out of time if you don't do this soon enough, you're going to run out of money if you don't do this right now, you're going to run out of your audience or your whatever it is. If something's going to run out if you don't do it right now, that is your brain, that is your mind, that is your ego, that is thoughts. So know that if it's coming from your heart, there's zero fear, there's zero sense of fear or lack or anxiousness, or it just has a different frequency when it's your heart talk. And it probably, if you aren't used to tapping into it, sounds more like a whisper. And it's hard to trust at first because it says things that you would not normally do in a social situation or with your full, coherent, waking mind. Wouldn't think that it's practical or logical a lot of the time. So it's hard to trust at first. So I invite you to start with something small. Tap into that voice. Mine always comes when I'm in the shower. My best ideas for my business, for my relationships, for myself always come when I'm in the shower. It's something to do with water for me. For you, it may be while you're running, it may be while you're doing dishes, it may be just before you fall asleep with your head on the pillow at night. It is likely something that is an awake activity, but you're kind of zoned out. It's a meditative activity. It doesn't involve the left brain thinking or figuring anything out or problem solving or trying. It's a meditative, automatic, reactive action. So your brain can kind of turn itself off and sink in more to the subconscious. And when you're in that state, you can obviously get through it through meditation. That's highly recommended. But for people who think they don't have time for that, they still often can find themselves in this energy while they're, like I say, doing dishes, showering, running. I'm trying to think of typical things, but anything that's repetitive and doesn't take a lot of thought, that's when your heart starts to whisper to you. And you'll find that when you wake up, when you're stop doing the dishes and you're back into your to-do list mode, or you wake up the next morning and you're like, I wrote this whole thing as a note in my phone, but now that I read it, it's bogus. Like, that's crazy. That is your heart talking to you. And yes, you can ignore it. You can write it off as crazy. It can feel totally scary outside your comfort zone or just not practical and not worth doing. You can ignore it, but it will continue to invite you to listen to it. And it is, I have never regretted taking those chances when they feel awkward or premature or just not within my comfort zone. The best things happen from there. The best things. I connect with people that I couldn't even have imagined the relationship or the fulfillment that comes from those connections, or even just the serendipitous connect the dots because of those connections. Um, I start businesses, I go on vacations, I move across the country or around the world, I end relationships, I start relationships. It's where all of the magic happens is when you listen to your heart. And everyone's is different. So, yeah, you can listen to it and then check in, if for me, my parents have always been a good compass for if I'm being totally crazy. So I always ask their opinion. My husband, obviously, I'm always interested in what his thoughts are on my crazy ideas. But I always start with my best friends. So make sure you have a circle of trust that are your biggest cheerleaders. So I want to be that for all of you, and I invite you to be that for each other. But surround yourself with people that believe in your dreams, or at least believe in your excitement about your dreams. And typically, I've found that if you are a dreamer, you're probably attracted to or in relationship with more practical people. And so often there's a clash there when you are so excited about a new idea and you want to share it and you believe in, like, you can already see how successful it's going to be a million miles from now, and they're not quite willing to get on board with you yet. It can be traumatizing at first. Like, you're so excited, your heart feels so alive about this new idea, and they're not seeing it, they're not believing in it, they're not willing to go out on that limb with you. So that's fine. Everyone needs that balance. Everyone needs that relationship that's gonna make you check in with yourself and think, okay, have I thought through, are my ducks in a row? Is this something that I'm taking the right next steps in the right order? Everyone needs those relationships. But make sure that before that, you have your circle of cheerleaders. And so that is my number one goal, to be here for you, is to be your biggest cheerleader. And I have girlfriends that when I have that first inkling of a crazy idea, potentially a retreat to Italy was my latest one, where I go all in. I mean, I am a visualizing manifester. So I instantly see the itinerary, what's on it, what I'm wearing, who's invited, all of that within 10 minutes of having a crazy idea like that. Where I surround myself with women who can get as excited or ask the questions that aren't challenging the idea but are enriching the idea. And so I want to make sure that you guys have that support group. And if you don't, rely on me, because I love being that for you. But someone has to just help you believe in it and investigate it and really look into that curiosity and joy that you have around it, even if it's just for 5 minutes. And maybe once you flesh it all out, that's all that needed to happen, was the excitement about the possibility. And it might trigger an open mind to something down the road. It may not have to actually come true, and that's okay. But I totally believe that if it's something your heart was interested in, it's a passion that's given to you on purpose. And it's probably related to your purpose. And explore it as far as it will take you, because that is your intuition talking. And it doesn't have to be logical, it doesn't even have to come true. It just needs to be honored as a beautiful idea with possibility. And you need to give it all the possibility that you can, so that you feel comfortable that if that's all it was, at least you allowed it to flow. But if it gets stuck in you somewhere, if you push it down as something where you instantly turn on the no response, where, oh, that couldn't happen, oh, I don't have the resources, oh, I don't have the education, oh, I don't have the time, space, energy, money, whatever it is, if you start censoring the idea before you've given birth to it, it will, it's just gonna cause havoc inside you until you give it space to come to life. And yeah, sometimes they don't come true. Sometimes it's just an idea for idea's sake, just like art often happens for art's sake. But it's on the way to your masterpiece, and it needs to be brought to life to contribute what it's meant to contribute to your thought process, to your creativity, and to your trust in your intuition. So, this is all about. Last week we set an intention. So, whatever your big intention is, you've hopefully taken some time to visualize. What does it feel like to accomplish that? What do I look like when I accomplish that? What does success smell like, feel like, look like? What am I wearing? Who's with me when it happens? Visualize everything around the accomplishment. And that's where I said you can visualize it forwards and backwards, so that you visualize it evolving to its ultimate success and fulfillment, and you visualize how that feels even backwards. So if it's like a college degree, you can visualize it backwards. So from being, blowing out the candles on your graduation cake with family around the dinner table, having dinner after you've walked down the aisle with all your fellow graduates, after you've done a pre-party with your closest family and friends, after you've signed the paperwork and bought the cap and gown. So all of that is part of the accomplishment. It's not the how you got to the accomplishment, because I don't believe in planning the how, but I do believe in planning the celebration. So feel free to run that movie through your mind forwards and backwards, so you are so familiar with that celebration that you can feel it in every cell of your body. You know how it's going to go. You know who's invited. You know what you're wearing, where you're at, what it looks like, all of that. So last week we set the intention, we created the vision. We're not worried about the how. The how doesn't matter. As long as you become fully in alignment with the vision, the how will connect the dots through the magic of the universe. It'll happen for you as long as you trust your intuition. So, like I said, if it's your brain talking, it probably has something about ego. You're trying to do the accomplishment to please parents or a spouse or society in general. That's the brain talking. The heart doesn't care about any of that. If the brain is worried about, you have to do this now or else, that's the brain talking. The heart doesn't negotiate. I'm trying to think other ways so that you know the difference. of when your heart and your head have conversations. Sometimes they can be in alignment. That's awesome. But I just want you to know the difference so that you can 100% rely on the good wisdom guidance of your heart without confusing it with that little ambition in your head. Heart wisdom is light. It feels maybe not easy, but light. It doesn't feel heavy. It doesn't feel like trickery or sneaky or like you're getting away with something. It doesn't hurt anyone. That's 100% a factor. That if your ambition is going to hinder someone else, it's not coming from heart guidance, because heart guidance always finds a loving way to do it where everyone involved gets a loving aspect of it, or it just simply doesn't affect them. Um, but yeah, so I think those are the big telltale signs of when one is different than the other. For me, I've done it so long now that I just instantly recognize that frequency. It just vibes on a different scale when it comes from my heart. It has no ego, it has no fear. It may not even have excitement, because a lot of times when it's coming from the heart, excitement often involves that limited time frame, where when it's coming from your heart, it's timeless. So, even for example, me becoming a coach. So, at first, I quit my job and was like, I have to do this in the next 3 months. Like, I have to make a lot of money to prove that I'm doing this for real and to prove that I don't need to get a new job to justify that I'm spending the time doing this. And I failed. I failed big time. I was in alignment in some aspects. Like, I 100% was meant to quit my job. No doubt about it. Like, that was 100% in alignment with the correct direction that I was taking those next steps. But the pressure I put on myself for that limited timeline was all ego and fear. It was not heart guidance. And so as soon as I failed, which was the best blessing ever, because if I hadn't, I would have continued in that hustle mindset. As soon as I failed and could just step back and cry the tears that that brought on, I was able to really see why I was on this journey, why I had chosen to quit my job and dedicate myself to this. And I realized it is a timeless goal. It does not matter if I make that amount of money in 3 months or 6 months, a year, 3 years, a lifetime. It just suddenly made me realize that this is what my joy and curiosity are interested in pursuing, and that the timeline doesn't matter, the money doesn't matter, that will all come. It will come in due time. It will come with the right amount of income. If I just continue to follow my heart guidance, which is purely to do what I love. And that is why you guys are all in this group, and why it's free, and why I'm doing the full 12 weeks instead of a condensed version. It was me realizing that my heart wisdom did not have the same timeline that my head did, and I need to follow my heart. So that's 100% an example of, talking the talk, walking the walk, right here with you guys. So, trusting your intuition, and it can come in baby steps. So those baby steps were me knowing I need to quit my job. And I've gotten better at recognizing that advice sooner than later. I think I shared with you already, the longest it ever took was a relationship I was in for 7 years. And I knew for the last few years that it was no longer serving me, but I didn't have a good enough reason, I felt at the time, to leave. But I now realize my heart knew it was time to leave for a long time before I did. And I look back on that thinking what I could have accomplished, or the hurt I could have saved my partner, if I had just listened to that earlier on. So I've gotten a lot better at anytime my heart gives me advice, even if I feel uncomfortable with it, taking that leap. So I knew as soon as my heart was telling me it's time to quit my job, that even if I didn't have everything figured out, even if it seemed completely illogical, that I just needed to take that leap, because I never regret it. I never regret it. Once you take the leap, things allow themselves to connect the dots for you that can't until you do that. You have to free the energy to allow it to do that for you. And if you're holding on too tight to something you're afraid to lose, even if you know it's not really what you want, but you're afraid to lose it because you're not sure that you're going to get something as good or better, let go of that fear. Let go of it, because the universe cannot provide the as good or better until you trust your intuition enough to let go of what doesn't serve you. And as soon as you trust, all of a sudden magic happens. Things fall into place for you that are 100% better than what you thought you were trying to hold on to and scared to lose. All right, so trust your intuition. So, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I can help in guiding you through this process. Take time to meditate, whether it's traditional meditation or during one of those meditative activities daily. Take time to do it so that you can start getting familiar with that voice and knowing how to tap into it. So find your groove. Find out if it comes to you quickest in the shower. For me, it's shower, it's water, and also drums. If I hear drums, for some reason it just starts resonating with my heartbeat, and I instantly can tap into my heart wisdom. So find out what works for you. Just experiment with things that are meditative activities until you can really just turn it on. So now I'm at a point where if I feel like I need to consult my heart wisdom, that things are going a little crazy and I just need to get in touch with that part of me, I am much quicker now about being able to get grounded and centered. I can take a shower and change my life in the time that it takes me to take a shower now. It doesn't require a whole, morning routine of meditating and journaling and all of that. That always helps. It helps deepen it for sure. But if I need to snap into it, I know how. So I invite you to find out for you how. And then once you snap into it, honor it, thank it for the wisdom that it's offering, and give it the respect of taking action. So we'll get into inspired action next week, but just accept it as fact, as truth. It is your truth. And even when it feels uncomfortable or scary or crazy, there's a part of you that knows that it's your truth. And you might even get goosebumps when you hear your truth, especially when it comes out of your own mouth. So that's what I hope to do on our next one-on-one calls, is just to get you talking about your intention and your vision. And as soon as you hear it come out of your mouth, I had a gal the other day that admitted that she wants to make $2 million in her career in 2022. And she has not gotten close to that with the direction that she's hoping to take her career this year. And it scared her when she admitted that, but she got the chills of truth. And I invite you to start recognizing when that happens for you, and know that that's your heart wisdom, and know sooner than later to follow it, to take that leap, and you won't regret it. All right? So, for this week's group call, because it's a holiday, I'm guessing a lot of us are going in all different directions. I will probably have time this weekend, Saturday or Sunday, while my baby's napping. I do have in laws in town, so that comes with some built in babysitter time. So let me know. Hit me up with a comment on this video to let me know if you have time for us to get together on a group call this week, or if we should postpone this to next week. But what I want to do with you ladies is get a time where all of us are together on this next call. All right, so I'm really gonna I'll probably send you a doodle, whether it's for this week or next week, for you to all contribute your availability so that we can hopefully get all 6 of us on one call at one time together. Because what I want to do is a hot seat, and it's a different kind of hot seat than I've typically done. Typically, I use a hot seat as your session to be able to share your truth and for all of us to contribute our feedback, ideas, brainstorming, to help you further your idea or feelings about whatever you share. But today, my intuition tells me that we all need just a safe container to share. And I don't think we need each other's feedback. I don't think we need additional ideas or brainstorming. I think we just need a space to share. So we're going to do, let's see, there's 5 of you. 5 times 5 is 25. Okay, so we could do in less than 30 minutes. Each of you could get 5 minutes, which I may or may not sound like a lot to you, but having done a lot of speaking engagements, 5 minutes is a lot. I mean, a radio station can get, commercials, complete messages in 30 to 60 seconds. So 5 minutes is a lot. And I'm going to give each of you 5 minutes to share the one thing you feel most vulnerable about right now. So I'm guessing each of you had something pop into your mind that you're like, but not that. That. I want you to share that. So this is a circle of trust. This is a circle of confidence. Nothing goes outside of this circle. But I want you to each share something that you're feeling particularly vulnerable about. It doesn't have to be a secret. Maybe you've shared it with your best friend or your significant other already, but it's not the story that you've shared many times. So if there's something, traumatizing that's happened in your past, but you've shared the story a few times, it's not that. It's the thing that you haven't yet spoken, but maybe once or twice. It could be that you stole something as a kid and you feel bad about it. It could be something super traumatizing like sexual abuse or verbal abuse or anything like that. It could be just your biggest fear about an upcoming interview or job change or relationship change. It could be something you're attempting to create for yourself, but you just feel fear of failure, fear of success, fear of repeating the same pattern, whatever it is. I just want each of you to have 5 minutes, a spotlight on you, us showering our love, pouring our love into you for those full 5 minutes of you sharing. And sometimes the full 5 minutes is the story. It takes 5 minutes to really convey this big story. Sometimes it's, I have no idea what I'm talking about, so I'm going to share this, but that doesn't really feel vulnerable, so I'm going to share that, but that doesn't really feel vulnerable. And at some point in that 5 minutes, you're going to get to the root of what needs to come out. All of a sudden, you're going to expel, express something that you didn't even realize needed to be said, but it's a relief to share it and put it on our shoulders so that you're not the only one carrying that weight. Um, it may be a heart opener that brings tears, so bring your Kleenex. I totally understand that that's possible, and maybe it isn't. Maybe your walls are still up so high, but just admitting it is enough of a vulnerability for you, that you don't need to shed tears about it. You don't even know what you think about it yet, but I want you to be able to share. I want an open space for all 5 of you to come to the table with something that is a relief, is a change of your energy, to be able to put it in this container, this safe space that we've created for each other. And none of us are going to comment or give feedback or even be your supportive cheerleaders. We're just going to take a moment of silence and absorb what you have shared and give it our full love out into the universe, hugging you with that energy. All right? So let me know if you prefer this week or next week to do this. If we do it next week, we'll have 2 group calls next week, or we may just, postpone at the end of the year, have 1 extra week where we have an extra group call with no content that week. Whatever we have to do. I want it to be light and easy for you guys with the holidays so that you can enjoy being in the moment without any added pressure of doing the group call. But I want you to know I am available this weekend. So if you feel called to do this weekend, we will do it. But this is what I feel is the best next step for all of us, is to do this hot seat vulnerability share. So feel free to put it out of your mind. Don't think about it, and just let whatever comes out come out. I don't need it to be premeditated. I don't need it to be planned. I don't need it to be pretty or prepared. I'm just letting you know that that is my plan for our next group call, and that is why I want all of you to make yourselves available to be part of that group so that we can shoulder each other's share equally. I think that's all I have. So obviously, this is a week of gratitude. I always believe in beginning in gratitude, so I invite you all tonight before you fall asleep. If you're watching it tonight, it's 8:30, so you might still be up. But tonight or tomorrow, to just begin in gratitude and end in gratitude, and list all the things that you're grateful for, from every person in your family and friendships and relationships and pets and favorite foods and the sunshine and the earth and freedom and all of that. Be grateful for it. Express your gratitude. Feel the appreciation, because appreciation attracts more of the same energy. So if you appreciate it, it continues. So I think that's all I have tonight. I wish you all a very, very happy Thanksgiving. For whatever reasons that this holiday was originally invented, I do believe it is a wonderful opportunity to just spend time with loved ones and feel gratitude for the things that you have in your own life, and eat some really good food. So I hope you all enjoy. I love you very much. Happy Thanksgiving. And please comment. Let me know if you want to get together this weekend or next week, and we'll do a hot seat vulnerability share. All right? Love you, ladies. Good night.